You remember that nerdy kid, the one in middle school who spent a lot of time on the internet and dressed up in weird costumes? And sure, all that time on the internet and computers netted me a good job, but it wasn't my passion. That passion? Photography. And it turns out that photography was something that was already in my blood. So if you like cameras, film, chemistry, history, adventure, and a little bit of exploration, then I think we're going to get along just fine. Hey there friends, welcome back to the channel. Alex Lokes here, and today I have another developer review for you. Yes, it is the second Fujifilm black and white developer that I've reviewed this year, and this one is called Super Prodol, or SPD. Or if you run it through Google Translate using the camera option on your phone, it says Super Doll, which is why this video is titled that way. But like Microfine, I don't know a lot about it, but I'm going to send you back to the studio anyways to talk a little bit about the background of SPD. And then we're going to get the bottle mixed up, and I'll meet you back here in a few. So, like Microfine, I have limited information about Super Prodol, or SPD. From what I've been able to tell, this was Fuji's fast developer and was designed for push processing for the Fuji Neopan line of films. It's specifically formulated for Neopan 1600 and 400, but it does also work with Acros 100. So if I had to hazard a guess, it was probably released sometime in the late 1970s or early 1980s. I'm going to assume because that there's a Super Prodol, there was also a Prodol developer. As a developer, SPD uses hydroquinone as its primary developing agent, although if you sort of take a look at some of the other chemicals in there, it does have a similar appearance to Crawley's FX37. Now the package I have does look like the Microfine package, and it only lists Acros 100 on the actual datasheet attached to the foil pouch, but not Acros 2. So I'm really not sure if this is just old new stock or new stock. So I did some looking online, but I really couldn't find any place online where you can purchase SPD new, so I don't know if it's still being manufactured or not. So that's about all I have for the background. If you do know a bit more about SPD and its history, please leave it in the comments below. I would love to be able to know the full history or if it's still being manufactured today. But enough of that, let's get this pouch mixed up and get out into the field. Like Microfine, SPD comes in a single pouch of powder that you mix with water to a final solution of 1 liter. You start with 750 milliliters of distilled water heated to about 45 degrees Celsius, then add the entire contents of the package. When the powder is mostly dissolved, top it up to that final volume of 1 liter. You can use either a manual or mechanical mixing method with SPD. Once all the powder is dissolved, store it in an opaque bottle in a cool, dark, dry location. In powder form, SPD has a near unlimited shelf life, providing that the pouch remains uncompromised and stored in a cool, dry location. A full bottle of stock solution will last for 6 months, but once you start diluting it to about a half bottle, it will only last about 1 month. All right, so today I am at Sheridan College's Trafalgar Road campus here in Oakville, Ontario. I'm going to be shooting my Mamiya M645 with the 80mm f2.8 lens, and I'm going to be working with it using the eye level finder rather than a waist level finder. The reason is that it's a little difficult to lug a camera like this and get shots. So you're going to be seeing it from a point of view standpoint, but most important is the film I'm going to be shooting through it. Yes, I've managed to secure from my good friend James Lee a stash of original Fuji Neopan Acros 100. While I would have liked to have something like Neopan 400 or 1600 for this review, I just wasn't able to find a roll in an appropriate amount of time or at a fair price. Those expired Fujifilms do hold their value. So I'm going to be shooting this at ASA 80. I'm going to be metering with my trusty Gossen Lunasix F, and I got the 80mm lens, and I'm going to be developing it in stock dilution SPD. All right, let's go. Fuji designed SPD to be their fast developer, and it's fast in two ways. First off, it's designed around their faster film offerings, Neopan 400 and 1600. So if you're a fan of those films and have a stash of them, SPD might be your best bet at getting the best possible results. Second, it's a fast acting developer, so if time is of the essence, SPD will give you shorter development times all around, both in stock and one-to-one dilutions. But don't let either of these facts stop you from using slower films. It's also a great pairing with Acros 100 and, by extension, Acros 100 too. For non-Fuji film stocks, it also does a fantastic job with mid to fast films like Delta 100, HP5, and surprisingly Retro 400S. While I wouldn't use this with films slower than ASA 100, it is really good with those mid-speed films. And while it's designed for modern emulsions, it handles traditional ones as well. Plus, it works really well as a push development developer. I mean, I don't think I've seen HP5 look this good at 1600 in any other developer I've done it in. So it works great as a fast compensating developer. And again, the HP5 was the longest, but only because it was pushed 2 stops. So it's a great developer if you have a stash of Neopan films, especially 400, 1600, and Acros 100 laying around. All right, so that does it for the roll. 15 frame shot, and I'm really glad that I got my hands on some OG Acros 100, especially for this particular review. So this seems like a good time to send you back to the lab where we're going to get this roll developed and talk a little bit about the qualities of SPD. And I'll see you back here in a few. So the first thing you're going to notice about SPD is it has far faster development times than microfine in both its stock and diluted forms. Like microfine, you can use SPD one of two ways. You can develop it using a stock solution for the shortest times and to maximize the solvent nature of the developer. In stock form, 1 liter of SPD will develop 10 rolls of 35mm or 120 films, or their equivalent number of sheets. Once you start developing your developer, it becomes one shot. Fuji only lists 1:1 for the dilution, and I haven't found any other information about making it more dilute, so I wouldn't recommend it. Also, there's no formula for calculating times from stock dilution to 1:1 dilution times. There's also no real increase in development times from stock to 1:1, which is a nice touch. Despite the short times, SPD works well for both manual and mechanical developing methods. And because SPD is a fast-acting developer with mainly short times, I do recommend sticking with an acid stop bath, and then just use your regular fixing and washing methods. Just remember that at least with Acros 100 and 102, you're going to need to lengthen your fixing time. I like to run mine at about 6 minutes with constant slow agitation using my bees processor. SPD impressed me from the first few rolls I pulled out of the tank. Of course, you got amazing results from film like Acros 100 and Delta 100, but you're really cheating there. And the one thing I should note about Acros 100 is that the developing times for the stock dilution rating the film at ASA 80 was 4 minutes and 15 seconds. And if you're thinking I would get inconsistent results with this, you are so wrong, because the results were amazing and consistent, but I think it helped that I was doing it on a rotating base. The one that I was most concerned about was that roll of HP5 that I rated at 1600 and then pushed in development. And this was a time that I actually found through another blog entry, one of the few that actually was about SPD. Now, I could trust the latitude and versatility of HP5, but I've never been a fan of underexposure and push processing. But SPD surprised me at how well it worked. Yeah, there was a bit more visible grain, but the images were sharp and not too coarse on the grain. But the real winner was the fact that the contrast in the tone was right on point. The contrast did not go up at all, which is normally what you see with push processing. I also found that there is no real difference between the stock and dilute forms of the developer. I would have loved to have seen what this developer could do with Neopan 400 and 1600, but I wasn't able to find rolls of the stuff in time for the review for a fair price and fast enough shipping. But I did look up some of the results online, and they are spectacular, boasting fine grain and medium contrast even for Neopan 1600. Another couple of rolls that surprised me was Fomapan 200, which I rated at 100, and Retro 400S, which I shot behind a red filter because I'm crazy like that, and I got spectacular results from both those films, which both have been notoriously difficult for me to handle in the past, and SPD made real winners out of both of these. Alright, so that wraps it up for this video. Again, I apologize for the bit of a visual whiplash and seasonal whiplash. I'm filming this in August while you have been watching this in December. And honestly, I wish I was where you are weather-wise and where I am here. July was absolutely brutal for us here in Southern Ontario with a ton of heat warnings and heat waves that just made it really difficult to get out and practice photography. But here we are anyways, and I took advantage of any good weather day I possibly could. So what about you? What have been your experiences with Fuji SPD? Did you even realize this developer existed? Leave that in the comments below. So that wraps it up for this video. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing, hitting that bell notification icon, and at the very least, just give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down. I honestly don't care. So until next time, my friends, shoot what you love with what you love on what you love. Don't stop.